This is the Empire Podcast. Released February 6th, 2022. Episode 576. A literal train wreck.
Welcome to the Amp Hour. I'm Dave Jones from the EEV blog.
And I'm Chris Gamble of Contextual Electronics.
We can't get enough of watching train wrecks.
Slow motion train wrecks.
And it's not a metaphor.
I was going to say not the social media emotional kind.
Right. You can almost like insert problem here, and it's like a train wreck, right?
Yeah, true. Yeah, it could be applied to a lot of things. Huh?
It's troubleshooting.
No, this is an actual one that Dave posted on Twitter and was apparently there's people, like you said, they just watch trains all the time. They're
train aficionados, and it's great. I'm a bit of a train hobbyist myself. And they set up this camera they paid for, or actually they got it sponsored. And anyway, they installed this camera in the middle of like this big train junction thing in the middle of Kansas City, Missouri. Oh, Santa Fe Junction. I've actually heard of Santa Fe Junction.
Dave, if I may, it's Missouri. It's Missouri.
Missouri?
You will be corrected if you go to Missouri.
Really?
And you say Missouri, they will be it's Missouri.
Really?
Yeah, it's weird. I don't get it.
I've been hearing the term Missouri for forever.
I think that's like an in crowd versus out crowd thing. Yeah, I don't know.
Oh, okay, right. Yeah, all right. Okay, I'll be sure.
You may be familiar. Some social groups, such as Australians and others, have certain ways of saying things, and
right. Yeah. Oh boy. Okay. Well, there you go.
Yeah, it doesn't matter.
Anyway, Kansas City, Santa Fe Junction. I just realized. Yes, I've heard of Santa Fe Junction. It's famous. So that's why. Anyway, they went to the effort to install a pan tilt remote camera there in the middle of these junctions, just so that these train hobbyists can watch these trains. They can pan around and follow the trains as they go all day, every day. And you've got to see this. They captured, this is their, this is the greatest moment of their life, I'm sure.
Yeah, this is the car crash in the Indy 500.
Yep.
Yeah, this is the hole-in-one while watching golf. This is the effective. This is the Super Bowl of watching trains, I think.
Yep. And it's there's also planes. There's the plane spotters who go out there and they sit at the end of runways or near the airports, and they sit there all day and they film every plane coming in and taking off. And I'm sure they're secretly hoping there's going to be an incident, so they've got it on camera. I'm although you don't want to see people's lives put at risk, no, definitely not, or you don't want to see, a couple hundred people die or something like that. But I'm sure they're hoping for a tail strike or something like that. I saw one of these the other day.
Let's just say out of the ordinary.
Yeah, out of the ordinary. Yeah, I saw. So actually, I'm not sure if I retweeted, but I saw it on Twitter the other day. It popped up. I don't know where from. And there was this huge tail strike,
I get very anxious.
And the jet takes off. Sorry.
Yeah.
Anyway, it was great. And I
think this is good too, because this is for people, so like you're sitting here listening and you're like, well, what is my hobby? I sit here, I tinker with electronics, I solder stuff.
I watch Twitter, Yeah,
exactly. Trains.
You
can always, there's hobbies everywhere, folks. So, if you're, I get to experience this firsthand, not the, obviously the crash, but the train enthusiast crowd. I was on vacation at a local place called Wilmington, North Carolina, and just a couple day jaunt, and there's not a ton to do there. It's a nice little cute little town, but I went to a train museum, the Atlantic Coast line, which was at one point the longest train line in the world.
Yeah.
I went to a museum there, and so I got to meet a lot of train enthusiasts as well. In fact, if you go in at noon on a Tuesday during a pandemic, there's about 4 older gentlemen who will tell you everything you ever want to know about trains, and even if you didn't.
Yes, I've been there. They're great. Yeah. I love it. Yep.
Yeah. I was thinking, the hobby, that is a hobby where there's still a lot of hands-on electronics type stuff with very practical applications, basically foot switches controlling all the tracks and stuff like that. You can make custom controllers for that sort of thing. And there's, there's a lot of cool things you can do if you're in that space. I never really got into trains myself because one is just it takes a ton of space, you know.
Oh yeah, yeah, it
Model
does.
trains, that is.
I
Sorry.
had a 16 by 8 layout when I was a kid. That's
What's that?
feet.
Sorry.
That's
Okay.
that's feet. 16
Oh,
foot
it
by
got
8 foot.
it got
Sorry,
imperialized.
sorry, 16 by 4. I
16 by
had
4.
2 8 by 4 tables that I joined together in the garage.
Cool.
HO gauge. I know that you're wondering that.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah. I had a train of some gauge at some point, but it never really took.
Right. Well, I've got an N gauge train set right behind me here, up on the shelf. There's an N gauge train set. I get down, put it on the floor, and have a play with it.
Huh.
Yep.
Is that, that's the tiny little one, right?
That's a tiny one, the N gauge.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
They're great. There is smaller. There is Z gauge, which you can like people put them inside like a briefcase. Like you can have like a little, like you can actually make a complete track inside like a briefcase with a Z gauge, and it's kind of cute, but yeah, really ultra fiddly.
Yeah, the when the crash happens, it's not as much rendering of metal.
Right. Anyway, we didn't get to the point of what actually happened. Yes, they captured a literal train wreck. This freight train, which had it had some empty cars and then some like tankers, and I'm not sure if the tankers were full or not. But anyway, it's going under this bridge. And it derails, and then one of them starts, one starts derailing, and that sets the billy cart starts wobbling. Then it folds another one and another one, and then the one behind that, which is like an empty sort of like truss car kind of thing. I should know the name for this. It isn't a box car because they're just the flat. It's got like a box car with a frame, kind of with like a frame on it with an
holding
empty frame.
Lumber or holding like
right, probably for lumber.
Yeah,
something like that. Yeah, something that does long things that don't roll out, so they can't roll out or something. Yeah. Anyway, it's this long, freight car, and then it sort of like jumps the other one, and then it gets pushed up and up in the air until it hits one of the girders of the bridge, and then it starts compressing. And then the funny thing about it is that you think it's going to stop, right? It's like, this bridge is big solid steel, it's gonna gonna stop this train in its tracks, and then the train, then the weight of the cars behind that go in this house
max times velocity.
we obey the laws of physics, right?
That's right.
And I'm going to keep pushing until that metal breaks. And the bridge didn't break. The actual rail car, all the girders on the rail on the car just started collapsing, and then it still wasn't done. Once it was done with that, it still wasn't done. Then the tankers behind it, they all just folded and went off the tracks, and eventually it did run out of energy and stopped. But it's glorious.
Classic.
It's glorious. Yes. And there's audio of it too. So yeah. Anyway, shout out to Virtual Rail Fan for collecting and for installing this camera and being there, Johnny, on the spot when this happened. Oh goodness.
So GE Rail was that was like I went to school in Cleveland, and just up the lake, so just going like northeast along Lake Erie was Erie, Pennsylvania, and that's like one of the headquarters of GE Rail. And so like a bunch of people at my school ended up going there, but I never quite understood. I guess there's control. I mean, there's obviously control systems and all these things, even on like the huge diesels, but I never quite got what the electronics would have been in all this. I guess it is just control systems and large scale stuff in the engine.
It'd be large scale control SCADA type systems, and stuff like that. My mate Doug Ford, I've done a video talking about. He's worked on the PA systems inside trains, and he actually talks through the design of the PA system and all the trade offs for that. So that's fascinating if you're into your trains and why trains sound like this coming to 6 o'clock Central, where like it sounds like really muffled. If you want to know why it all sounds pretty shit on trains, then go watch Doug's video. Anyway, so I love train.
I mean, obviously, I think the real thing with the GE stuff though too is that like it's often they were doing trains. Like I think a lot of like the train high speed stuff in China and Europe and things like that. Those are actually like modernized train systems versus like freight diesel based. It's like, oh, okay, I guess you can get more efficient, but not sure what's going on inside those cars. If people are listening and you're either enthusiast or a employee. We'd love to hear about it. Be interesting.
All trains are very efficient, by the way, whether they be
Yeah. One
diesel
of the most
or
efficient methods of
electric. Yeah.
moving freight. Yeah.
Yeah. Absolutely fascinating trains. I love them. In fact, a family joke. I'll tell you a family joke that happened recently. Well, just on holidays, we have our big yearly holiday, right, in January, and we're deciding where to go next year. Like, if you want to rent a place in a nice location for like a week or 2 weeks, you have to book like a year ahead, right?
Oh, wow.
So we're sitting at our current place, and we're already thinking where we're going to go next year, right? Because you have to book early. And and somebody says, I want a farm place with a tractor, and then I said, I want a farm place. Yeah, it's got to have a tractor and it's got to have a train line so I can sit and watch the trains roll past. And everyone just cacked themselves. And I was serious. I want to, if we're going to, get a farm property in the middle, I want a bloody train line.
You need something to look at, right?
Exactly. Preferably with a rocking chair. Yeah.
Dave's entering his later years where he just wants to sit and rock on a porch
and watch the trains. And I was serious. I would sit there and watch the trains all day. It'd be great.
Yeah.
Anyway, yeah. So there you go. Anyway, everyone was cacking themselves for days after that. And then we're looking for places, and we found one. Yeah, we found one that actually had a train line, and everyone's poo-pooing it. So I don't know. Anyway.
Well, if you have a train line and you're going through the heart of a country, you might want to stop. Speaking of Ohio and my old stomping grounds, you might want to stop at Intel's new facility opening in your question mark
2032 or something.
Yeah, in your question mark for $1 for many billions of dollars. Intel is apparently opening a new facility.
$20 billion.
20 billion minimum. They said starting at 20 billion up to 100 billion.
Yep.
Outside of Columbus, Ohio, which is the capital of Ohio.
It literally does say up to $100 billion.
Yeah. Well, you know that fab equipment doesn't come cheap, so.
Whoa.
Yeah, this is really weird to me because
how many fabs do you get for that? Like, I'm sure you don't just get one line. Really?
Oh, it says actually 8 total fabrication plants. Okay.
Okay. Right.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. Right.
I don't understand this at all, actually.
Come on, it's a bargain. The first one's $20 billion, and then they reckon they can build 8 for 100.
Yeah. Right. Buy one, get 3 feet free or something, right?
What's that rule of government spending? Why build one when you can get 2 for twice the price?
Yep, that's good.
Anyway,
so the thing I don't get about this, they've got a lot of stuff going for them, but not everything, right? So usually what you want, the 3 things that I know that you want when you have a fab, which other places don't really conform to this either, so maybe I'm just completely off base, is access to a lot of resources, so like water,
yeah,
water being one big one, and then power, like really, really reliable power being another. Yep. Nuclear is best, and then talent. And the talent one, the other ones, okay, yeah, they have some water. It's not like they're on one of the Great Lakes or anything like that, but I'm not sure they would be allowed to be. I think they have nuclear close enough by, and I'm sure they would build a power plant otherwise, even if it's gas-based. Okay, that's all makes a ton of sense. In Ohio, in general, like they get snowed on, but they don't have earthquakes. They don't have, so it's like in terms of natural disasters, it's mostly bad winter weather.
Right, snow. Okay, which is all outside, not inside. So
yeah, exactly. Well, like earthquakes are rough, and mudslides and flooding and all that stuff. All the stuff that happens in Japan mostly,
and cyclones. Sorry.
Yeah, right, right. So yeah, and they're
tornadoes in the US, isn't it? It's not cyclone.
Yeah, that's true. They do have some tornadoes. Usually that's not like as bad in Ohio, but there have been some that touch down. Okay, so all that stuff out of there. But the real one that I don't get is like the talent piece. Like there's nothing there. I mean, like there are they have the Ohio State University, which is the big state university, good engineering program. Not as good as my alma mater, in my opinion, but people differ. And Cleveland is not too far away as well. That's a 2-hour drive away. But like, there's no other fabs in the closest fabs to there are in Albany, which is another 9 hours away by car, and so like they'd have to be pilfering people, and so like they're either going to develop talent.
I was going to say that's their plan, Chris. You just offer people money and they come.
I guess,
Like,
but it's just I don't. But this isn't like some like also ran fab either, right? This is like Intel is bleeding edge.
yeah,
This
right.
is so. Yeah, I don't get it. I just the talent piece is the part that is very confusing to me for all this stuff. I understand why it's probably Ohio. It's because I'm sure they got
State benefits. Yeah,
gigundous
yeah.
tax
Of course
breaks.
they
Yeah,
did. Yeah,
fine.
exactly.
Yeah, fine.
Yeah.
Okay. And that's also, I was thinking about, I was like, why outside Columbus? Then I was thinking like, oh, well, all of the fabs in New York are outside of Albany, which is the capital of New York, and all the fabs in Portland are near the close within 2 hours of the capital, and all the fabs in Arizona are near the capital. And it's like, oh, okay, all right, yeah, I'm starting to see the trend here a little bit.
Right.
Yeah. So yeah, we'll see how it goes. Here's my thing though.
Yeah.
Here's my real gripe about all this stuff. Unless Intel really is hitting the foundry stuff hard, I don't care about more Intel processors. I want more switching converters. You know what I mean? Like I want TI to open more fabs, and they're not.
Do Intel make anything other than their own dog food? I don't know.
Intel started a foundry business.
Right.
They have not, as of yet, they have not split out their businesses, which is my big prediction, is that at some point they're going to split out their IP business from their foundry business and, take on TSMC in a true foundry model.
Right.
But yes, they have started actually doing foundry stuff, but it's like bleeding edge foundry. So you're not going to do, like analog chips there, right? You're going to be doing FPGA and custom ASICs and things like that. Like when Apple is making their next M1 or M2 or whatever they're making, they're going to shop it around to TSMC and Samsung and Intel, and all of them will bid on it, I'm sure, and they'll choose one based on price and availability and whatever. So
here is my prediction.
Okay.
It has to do with funding and this actually happening. Anyway, here is my prediction. And it's not to do with how it works, it's to do with whether or not this actually happens or not. If you read down in the article, it says, to dramatically increase chip production in the United States, the Biden administration aims to pursue Congress to approve $52 billion in subsidy funding. So there you go. So that bill is being Nancy Pelosi, blah, 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 would include $52 billion in funding. Right. So if this doesn't pass, this doesn't happen. I bet you. I bet you. It is contingent upon the funding bill passing, which is not a guarantee. But, you know.
I mean, they've been talking about it for, we don't need to talk about the U.S. politics stuff, but this has been a driver in all of these announcements that we keep seeing coming through, like, TSMC building a fab in the U.S. and Samsung expanding in the U.S. and Intel building more fabs in the U.S. It's like, that's all tied to getting some of that drip feed. So
that's how and that's how it works, because I guarantee you in the background, they're all going, they're talking to the Intels of the world and everyone else, and they're going, oh, look, if we put this bill through, will you make announcements now that you'll do all these magnificent plans and everything? So they come and say, of course. So they come out with these press announcements and make these grandiose plans, and that's it. It all feeds on itself. That's the idea.
Yeah, I think that's right.
Yeah, because this bill wouldn't receive any support if these companies hadn't come out public and said, we're going to build it. We're going to build all these, magnificent, $100 billion worth of plans.
I think of it as a thought exercise though. Like, okay, so say Australia did the same thing and they said, we want to invest $52 billion. We're going to entice TSMC to build here as well. Like, it's not that like, it's not the same scale of difference, but like moving a whole I guess TSMC is probably a good example, right? They're talking about opening a US facility and having IP transfer and all that stuff. And so there's going to be some TSMC official people. There's probably be some local people. They would, this is very much like how I used to work at Samsung, right? Samsung had some official Samsung people there and then a bunch of US employees, and same kind of thing. And they trained me, right? That is my job out of college, was that. And so all that stuff makes sense, but like the move and the thought exercise around like why the US and like couldn't every country do this then? If they had the wherewithal and the dollars behind it to do it, couldn't they all do it? And it's like, it doesn't seem like there's other people doing this sort of thing, but but I'm not sure why.
You've got to have the commitment from the major companies to do it. You can't just, Australia just couldn't come out of nowhere and say, we're going to build a fab plant. And then, yay, announcement. Even if it passes, here's your $50 billion, champagne port and corks pop and everything. And then and then they sit there twiddling their thumbs and, okay, well, who's going to build it? And they start looking, eyes start darting around and, because, that's why you have to have these agreements, at least handshake deals in place that, look, you guys, we're going to announce this funding. You guys make the big press announcements that you're going to,
that's
expand.
Good. Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah, sure, they go hand in hand.
I mean, I think the thing that I dislike about all this, I mean, there's a lot of things I dislike about all this, but that this level of advanced manufacturing, if we just call it advanced manufacturing, that it has become like statecraft, and maybe it's always been statecraft because I remember seeing like a meme that was about how people being so excited about microcontrollers and transistors and all this stuff, and it's just been about building bombs from the beginning. It was like going to the moon and building bombs and all the military involvement in early silicon as well. I was like, I know, shut up, I don't want to know about it. Yes, I know.
Yep, I think it's great.
I just dislike that it's all tied up in the statecraft piece. You know what I mean? Like that this stuff is all pieced together like this. But it is. I mean, there is like a technological dominance based on this. This is
all gigantic international dick waving contest. This is like,
You're right. Yeah,
of course it is.
I mean, but there's some actual. Yes, there is that at the beginning. But I think there are some true implications as well, right?
Because of course. Yep.
If some random country in the middle of nowhere wanted to go and build an AI engine that was going to be super evil, right? They at least would have to then get over the hurdles of all the technological hurdles as well. And whether or not people believe that, the countries that are currently capable of doing all this stuff are or are not building these things, they at least are much closer to that capability. And so it almost is it's almost like a nuclear deterrent type of area that we're in now as well. It's like AI chips are this new weaponized thing. And maybe I'm just super naive that it's always been weaponized, and I'm just super naive about it. But I dislike it, Dave.
Fine.
Harsh is my vibe.
You want to know? Okay, can we go on to something that I dislike?
I'm just like peace. I'm just like peace, man.
All right. I think no, it's great. Bring back capability to, in this case, the US. I mean, that's where freaking Silicon Valley is, and all of the, a lot of the world's leading tech is not happening.
You can afford to build stuff there, that's for sure.
It's like, bring it all back. Absolutely. If you're gonna, if Congress is gonna fund something, fund something like this, not another bloody, 200 bloody 35s.
Yeah.
I mean, Jesus.
Totally on board. Yeah. The downstream effects of all of the military stuff that might have built up silicon in the first place. We are all benefiting from it, from the fact that I am talking to Dave across thousands of kilometers with a very fast connection based on silicon and fiber optics and everything else. So,
yep. Anyway,
cool technology.
All right. So Chris is not a fan. What I'm not a fan of.
All right, let's hear it.
Is yet another freaking Indiegogo marketing wank.
Other things that technology are enabling. Indiegogo campaigns that are completely bogus.
Here it is. It's another Indiegogo. I might shoot a video on this, or I might not. I don't know. I'm like losing the will to live almost against these products. It's the Cara Pure. Make water pure from the air. Yes, where have you heard this before? I've done at least 2 videos of 2 different water from air things. The bloody
dehumidifier that used to live in my basement.
Dehumidifier. Yep. Oh, but it's not a dehumidifier. It's not. It uses a magnificent new desiccant technology that makes it not a dehumidifier. Yeah, right. Bloody hell. Anyway, it's raised almost $1 million. It's got 2 days left. Gosh. And basically this one is not really advertising that it is water from the air. That's, thing, like it's in the title and everything.
Well, make your own water from the air is kind of disingenuous as well, because you're just collecting water from the air, really.
I'm
making water from the air would be like, okay, let's gather some hydrogen, gather some oxygen,
I have
blow
no
that shit
problem
up.
with making water with claiming make water from the air. It's fine. It works in quote marks. Okay, this
Okay, sure.
product works. It's fine, right? But then you go watch their videos and all this stuff, and then they sort of like very quickly forget about, oh, that the water comes from the air. The thing that differentiates this is that it's got a filter inside, and it's got an alkaline thing, so it's the most 7 mineral enriched. It's got a pH of 9.2, and it's got, like, it's the best tasting water ever. And it's like, oh my God, you've got this thing, okay? Literally in the photo, in the thing, it is sitting next to what's called a kitchen. And in this kitchen, I can see what's called a tap. Okay? Humans have gone to all this effort and expense to like plumb water to your house. It's magical. You turn the tap on and water comes out, and it's almost free. Like, you pay very little money for that water, right. Like per liter. And,
that's right. Yeah.
And then you can buy these amazing things that attach to your tap. They're called filters. Oh, and they filter your water, and they can even change the pH if you like, and make it taste any way you like. This thing is doing absolutely nothing except costing you money.
I'm starting to think you're feeling a little snarky here. Yeah.
Oh,
yeah. What's interesting about this, I was just talking to a friend about prototyping tools that are out there, and like some of the platforms. So he was it called Cut Make Cut or Make Cut Make or something like that. I forget what it was. I could pull it up, but it was like a sheet metal thing. But we were kind of going back and forth about just how easy it is to prototype products these days, and like all told, right? I think I mentioned I did like a laser cut thing recently. I have 3D printers. It doesn't look 100%, but like the amount of stuff that you could like. So looking at this crazy Indiegogo thing, it's nice-ish, but it's not anything crazy special. But to make an actual like prototype for this sort of, at least for a video shoot for an Indiegogo, like you could totally do that for like less than 10 grand. You can make a really fit and finish type of prototype.
I think for this one they spent a lot more, because it's really big, and it's like formed stainless steel and stuff.
Yeah, no doubt you could, but I'm just saying that
I know,
like, the capabilities are all there.
The advancements in prototyping technology are phenomenal. Yeah, especially if you're making a small little farting gadget kind of thing.
Yeah. We could sucker people for money using real hardware, Dave. That's what I'm really trying to say.
Yeah. No, you don't need the fancy animations and stuff. You can actually make the real thing for not much.
Yeah, that's right.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. I know.
Oh my. Yeah.
So, oh boy, and it's just, so I think,
why does this still get to you? That's why I don't understand. Like, why does this still get to you?
It still gets me because people are being suckered in and wasting their money. I don't like when people are wasting their money on crap like this, with marketing that makes it feel like they need this, right? They're making them feel like they need this. They don't. You've got a tap which gives you water for free. Just add a filter to it, and you don't have to expend a single watt of energy actually producing the water. It's already comes to your home. The energy's already been expended to get it to your home. Don't spend an extra 200 watts per liter, even if you can get that. In energy. The world needs to save energy, not piss it away with stupid products like this. Right?
Well,
it's just ridiculous. Use the water pressure that's coming into your house.
If you're going to be a crypto investor and then say that they shouldn't spend energy on this, I think that's a little disingenuous.
Yeah, but that's infrastructure and
infrastructure. Okay, well, I'm just just saying, just kind of giving it a little back to you there.
Fine.
Yeah.
But it's just no, but when you can do exactly the same thing that this does, and you can do it for 1/5 the price, and you can do it for and expend no energy.
Yeah.
It's just pointless. It is completely
no doubt.
pointless.
This personally doesn't rile me up the same way it does for you, obviously. But I get where it's coming from. I think I can feel it,
Oh, I don't like seeing people getting sucked out of their money. It's just, yeah. It's just ridiculous.
Don't go on Instagram.
Oh boy.
Or other platforms
Instagram.
like it.
Yeah,
I mean, there's just any kind of advertising platform is like that, right? I mean,
I post to Instagram. I don't use it. I don't watch things on there. I don't follow anyone really on Instagram. I don't know. Why? Are you getting bombarded daily with like?
No, I'm just saying any kind
products?
of, like there's always like, I feel like, this is like a wellness product, and this is the general wellness category. There's a lot of snake oil and similar in that area of like high pH water.
Right. This magic patch will protect you from
coffee bean extracts,
from 5G
and,
radiation,
one weird trick to remove belly fat.
Right, and right, okay, right. Ah, boy. Anyway, they just keep doing this over and over, and everyone. And the other thing is, this will fail. Right, people will get these machines, and it will not produce the water from the air. Right, you will get like 1/10 of what they claim, if you're lucky. Probably it depends on your circumstances, and then you're just oh god, no. Anyway, I might do a video on it, just laughing at it. I don't know.
Other things where money went down the drain. Sigfox, unfortunately, has filed for bankruptcy. If people don't remember Sigfox is a LoRaWAN-based technology where they own the towers and you rented them, more akin to a cell service rather than a LoRaWAN service where you might be standing up your own collector node thingy. Do you remember Sigfox at all or no? They had a very nice logo.
I do. I vaguely remember. Yeah, vaguely. It's like,
They were putting up a lot of towers, a lot of the...
they are French, are they? Okay.
That's right, yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's a lot of moolah to raise, $300 million.
Yeah, I think they were selling based on the promise of low power nodes everywhere, and the promise of IoT as the being what it is. They've been around for a while, actually.
Yeah, but we have cellular everywhere that can do this. But that's not very good for low power devices, of course. But I don't know. I think the whole low power device thing is kind of meh, Yeah, it's just going to always be niche. It's not like we're not going to have freaking sensors in every single freaking door and every single freaking light bulb and every single it's just ridiculous.
I think there's different waves that have come through. Obviously, there was Sigfox, there's LoRaWAN based things that are the Things Network, and now Helium's out there doing the same kind of thing as well. Speaking of crypto-y kind of things, that's Helium is like a backhaul that is that has blockchain. Who cares? You know what Helium is or no?
Oh, yeah. Is it yet another crypto thing? I don't know. Helium.
It's a crypto thing. I would say it is the closest thing that it's like, it's a cryptocurrency, but it's the closest thing towards like an actual use case. But I don't feel like the economics are going to be there to support it all. So basically, anyone out there listening right now could go and buy, I don't think they call them miners, but they're basically like they're listening nodes. And if you have this, I'm just going to call it a miner, even though I don't think it's called a miner. If you have this miner set up, basically it's like it has a Wi-Fi connection in your house or an Ethernet connection. It has whatever the localized LoRa frequencies are. So in the US, it's I think 915. In Australia, I think it's 912 megahertz. In Europe, it's 898 megahertz. So whatever the local radio frequency is. And basically what it's doing is it's just listening for packets from various devices that might be out in the world. So say like I'm in my lab right now, I have view of the street, and if say a dog walked by with a tracker tag on it that was just chirping out, hey, my GPS location is whatever, and then my device listened to that packet and then sent it back over the real internet, I would get credit for that, and I would be able to witness a transaction, basically.
Oh, so you get like a finder's fee kind of thing, do you? Is that?
Yeah, that's a good way to think about it. Yeah, and so that's how I understand it, at least. I could.
Okay. I have not. I've heard of it, but I haven't looked into it.
Yeah, and so there's proof. I forget what they call it. It's not like proof of transaction, whatever it is, but basically it's like if you've heard the same packet that other people have heard, because these packets go much further. So it's almost like a overlapping cells, like in a cell network.
Oh, this one is proof of coverage.
That's it. Yep.
Proof of coverage. Okay. Everyone's, there's all different stakes. There's, proof of work. There's proof of, stake. And this one's got proof of coverage, and there's a whole.
Right.
Yep. Okay.
Yeah. And so if you do that, then you get some fractional amount of this HNT, the helium token, and then that could apparently be earned back. My argument against it is that there's not nearly going to be enough nodes. There's not enough dog collars in the world to actually pay all the people that
Exactly.
would eventually. So eventually the economics are just going to peter out, I think.
Yeah, no,
That's my prediction for
this
it.
will, yep, same here. I have the same prediction for this now that I
Because at the
look at
beginning,
it and,
all these people were, they bought these miners and they were making all this money because they juiced the rate for, each dog tag was worth, if you heard it with your listener, it would be worth a lot. And so like people were like super excited about it and like, oh, I can make all this money. And so they all went out and bought them. And now there's lots of listeners in city centers and, they're making less and less money
transmitters,
per transaction.
so there's lots of listeners and no transmitters. Okay.
Yeah. And so like, I get it. Like they're trying to build up a network.
And
they still might
totally
succeed
get the
in
concept.
this. Yeah. I think the big concern is that Amazon is doing the exact same thing. So now Amazon's doing the same thing. They're selling it as a centralized service instead of this decentralized service. And they call it Sidewalk, which is confusing because Google also has a thing called Sidewalk Labs, I believe, but it's a different thing. But it's Amazon Sidewalk. And basically now like your Amazon Echo is in your house. It's already connected to your local Wi-Fi. And it also has a LoRa capable listener. And now all of these Echoes that are all over the place, all of these Amazon based devices, they're all listening. And then Amazon is basically bundling up and selling the service to someone that might be making dog tags. I'm just using the same example here, but they might be making a LoRa dog tag. And then now Amazon is handling that traffic instead of Helium. And so there's going to be like this, there's going to be more and more things like that. I forget there's another one out there that's doing this
I'm
as
sure
well.
I'm sure there's more than one.
I think Comcast did it at one point, like every Comcast cable box also had it built in. Yeah. And like it was good in Philadelphia, like in that part of the area, but you have to be so ubiquitous through the coverage. You either have to, go and do it yourself and like put these nodes everywhere, or you need to make it so easy that they're everywhere. Like Amazon is probably closer to doing.
Even if everyone has one, it still relies on people actually paying for the service somehow.
That's right.
And using it. And if nobody wants to track their dog, then
that's totally right.
I mean, or be tracked themselves, then like like all track their, I don't know, their keys or something.
Sure, that's another good example. Yeah, like asset tracking in general, right? So like your wallet, your keys,
it's always going to be incredibly niche. I think.
No, I think it will be. So obviously, I'm in this industry. I'm
of course
very invested now. But I think it's really a comparison against like cellular, right? Cellular keeps getting like cheaper and lower battery power, right? That's really the big thing.
But cellular has a feature that every single human on the planet wants, which is their smartphone, right?
That's right. But it's basically piggybacking on that coverage. Right. So now like you have a low power device that's piggybacking on that coverage, using Cat-M1, using NB-IoT, these other like newer,
why these
lower power
other
modes.
systems, I think, and that's why these other systems can only succeed if they have a niche in, say, like low power, whereas you can't really get that with cellular. You can't really, run a little cellular transmitter every second and power it from a coin cell, right? At least I don't think so.
Yeah, well, you can't do that with LoRa either. I mean, like just because of the transmit requirements. But yeah, I mean, you can. I mean, not from you could do it from a coin cell maybe, but it would not last very long.
Yeah, right.
You need a lot of coin cells.
So I think they're reliant upon some other niche, like technical requirement. Whereas otherwise, why wouldn't you just use cellular, which everyone's got? And it's everywhere. Why would you build a new thing from scratch? So
I think some of it is size and battery capacity and all that stuff. But
exactly, that's what I'm saying. And it's going to have a niche market.
And I keep saying niche. I get the niche part, but I don't understand. I don't understand what the alternative. You're saying the LP WAN stuff, right? So like in this case, Sigfox, which is gone now, or
gone now.
LoRa based stuff, which might be using Sidewalk or might be using Helium. Yep. You're saying that's super niche in a commercial context.
Yes,
I agree with that. I think
it does not have the consumer ability to be worth, $300 million or something. It's it just doesn't have the market.
I think that's probably right. Yeah, I think that
Hmm.
the amount of instrumentation needed in a home or a mobile, like on a person that might be walking down the street, walking their dog, how many sensors are going to be on a person that's
No,
talking back?
exactly. None.
I
Right.
love that like sci-fi, like kind of feel to it all.
Yeah, fine. It's fine in sci-fi, but you don't want it in the real world. Nobody wants it in the real world. Nobody's
I
going to
think that's
pay
right.
for it. So it's going to be limited to like factories and automated complexes
Yeah,
and like stuff like that.
I think that's right. I think maybe not factories for like LP WAN stuff. I think the perfect LP WAN application is like soil sensors on a farm talking back to a centralizing
Right.
node, like a
Yep.
collector node. I think that's like the number one.
Yeah.
That's my
Sure.
brain always goes there. I
Yeah,
think
it's
that's
great.
very useful. There's no
It's
cell
localized. You
coverage.
don't need that everywhere. Somebody
It's
just
localized.
installs
That's right.
their own system. That's it. They
Right.
install
Right.
their own
There
system for
is
their own need.
one
Yeah.
or low number of collector nodes versus every household
Yes.
having a collector node.
Yeah. No,
Yeah,
it's
I think that's right.
See, even if you build it into everyone's little googly box, everyone's little Amazon box or whatever, it's like it's still not going to get used because people just don't have the use case for it. People don't want sensors on their
Well,
on
we're saying
absolutely
people, but
everything.
I think the thing that could be is that there could be commercial intent within a city context, right? So I'm just kind of in my brain, like I said, I usually think for like LP WAN, LoRa based things, I think remote, no other option. You want low power, you want it to just be sitting there chirping back data. Fine.
Yeah.
I think there is a potential. I think you are correct. People are not going to instrument the hell out of themselves and their dog and their their baby carriage and everything else like that. I don't see that happening because there's just not enough nerds and there's not enough
Exactly.
money in it for
Yeah.
external people to be doing that sort of thing. However, I do think there might be enough coverage for like, I mean, maybe like, like truck tracking and, just general asset tracking in a commercial context within a city, separating,
Right.
rural
Right.
versus urban. There may be that sort of thing, but are there enough businesses?
But they already do that successfully. Once it goes onto the DHL truck, like it's scan when it gets on, it's scan when it gets off. Why do you need to know?
Yeah.
And they've got a single GPS transmitter in the truck so they know where the truck is.
I mean,
solution done, right?
There's richer data you could have from that, but I think I mean, you're right. There are current solutions where there's true value for it. Yeah, there are a lot of solutions already. Are there other solutions waiting to be uncovered? I think so as well. I mean, like I think there are other things there, but I couldn't enumerate them. I just think that there is a potential for urban-based multi-collector nodes, but it's definitely not that personalized. I need to track my dog. I need to track my purse. I need to track my car. And then it's just talking all these different nodes. That's kind of like also like the Apple AirTag is kind of doing that too. And I think it's
right.
That's just using people's phones as these same, I just think of them as collector nodes. And it's the best systems there. I think the AirTag, which uses just Bluetooth, and you're just walking, it's like, all right, someone stole my backpack, and it's just going past someone else's iPhone, and the iPhone recognizes this tag number and throws it back to the database. Okay, that's actually pretty good. Like in a city context, it's somewhat likely that you might pick up that.
Well, I was going to say some of these things already exist for free. Like if you do the iPhone Apple Tag thing, everyone already has this device as free. If you're talking about the Amazon Alexa or whatever it is, the Googly box or whatever it is, right? Everyone, well, I'm not saying everyone, but like, a huge number of people have all these things, right? They already have those things. So if you can build it into that, you essentially get the network for free. Right. And then whether or not you build on top of that makes no difference. You can it doesn't matter. Like the system's not going to fail. Whereas like this system, this one we're talking about, where is it? The Sigfox thing.
Yeah.
Like
Sigfox was trying to bootstrap up a network themselves, and building a network effect is extremely tough.
Yeah. These boxes are, they're just gone.
Right.
Right.
I mean, and again, like you said with the cellular stuff too, there was a commercial context to build like the value to the cell companies to build out all these towers and do all the data sharing and do all the handling. Like you paid that, I paid that, we pay that every month for their cell phone bill.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? Like that is what is funded all those towers.
And it happens slowly over.
Yeah.
How long have we had mobile phones? 30 years or something now, almost?
More than that.
Really?
I mean, the first
but I'm talking like, like the first bricks and stuff, but
So
anyway,
40 max, but still, like, there's just so much value there that's been over time, and so much like
And it
monetary
slowly built up.
investment.
If it failed, if nobody wanted a big brick phone to walk around with, and then it would have failed, right? Nobody would have built more towers. But they caught on, and hey, all these high status people, they wanted their mobile brick phone, so they built more towers, and just it caught on. But it didn't happen all at once. Somebody didn't go, right, we're going to do the entire city with 1,000 freaking towers, and here's this brand new technology. No. Happens slowly over decades.
Yep.
So,
Wendover Productions actually just put out a video about how self-service works.
Oh,
and
I
what was
haven't watched
interesting
that
to
yet.
me, it was very good.
Right.
What's interesting to me was like the amount of things that they had to explain, and then I was like, oh yeah, like this is not common knowledge. Like they're like talking about like amplitude modulation, frequency modulation. It's like if you're trying to like start from zero, you're trying to explain like basically RF. It's like, oh wow, there is just a lot there. And you think about the and they get into like I think like quadrature amplitude modulation.
Oh
type stuff,
really?
like
okay, I'm surprised they went to that depth in a Wendover
basically they're just talking about like all of the different ways that they gain more bandwidth using cell towers and modern methods.
Because I can remember. This is probably before your time, Chris, but I can remember using a scanner. I can remember using a scanner to listen to people's phone calls. Right, this is back in the old analog, and it's boring as batshit. Right, I'll be home for dinner at 6 o'clock, or like, oh god.
Yeah. Think about how much they paid for that, for the right to do
I know,
that.
for that. Yeah.
Those phones were not cheap, man. They were not cheap at all.
Yeah, but analog phones, you could listen to, like they had an analog part of the spectrum. It was AM. It was,
I mean, they were basically walkie-talkies, right? I mean, they were basically like
exactly.
They weren't even like time multi. Actually, I think Wendover stuff goes through this. They basically weren't even like time multiplexed or whatever. They said like
they started
maximum
out the early
of
ones,
32 calls in a city per tower at a time. And
I can remember picking those up on the scanner.
Yeah. That's yep.
Geez, that would have been that would have been late 80s, maybe. I think. I can't remember exactly, but yeah.
Throwback recommendation. If people have not, basically around this time is when all the satellite stuff started up too, right? So they talked about like starting up Iridium satellites. That was all to like replace the business traveler before GSM came out. That was the eccentric orbits. That's the book. The last third is kind of boring. You have to kind of battle through that, but it is a interesting story that I still recommend.
I think you mentioned this before. Yeah,
I have definitely. Yes.
You have. I remember. Cool.
Yep. See, Dave, isn't the world of IoT moderately interesting?
Until it fails, and then you go to the next startup.
I mean, here's the thing. I think the direct line to like needing a business case for all this stuff is pretty strong, right? If you don't have a good business case and you're trying to like start an IoT company, you are going to be in a world of pain. You could raise $300 million, but if there's not like a real business behind it, it's not going to happen.
Yeah. So what's the premise? Sorry, I haven't read the article. What's the final conclusion? Have they gone bankrupt and it's all just
they're
folded
trying to get bought, basically?
Oh, they're trying to get bought.
They're like in receivership or whatever. I don't know what the French version of that is, but they have assets. So like, and there are people using it.
They usually don't survive this. Even if somebody buys it, the system won't actually survive, I'm sure. So if you've got a Sigfox box, I reckon even if they get bought, don't expect it to work in a few years' time.
Yeah. It's tough too. I mean, and what happens with all this stuff and all of these services is like, okay, well, the article lists $24 million euro of revenues. So people are paying them. So there are commercial users.
That's pretty good revenue.
Which means though, that if they don't stick around, then what? Right?
Well, okay. If a $300 million company like this fails with $24 million in revenue, holy crap, that's only a 10-to-1 ratio. That's really that's pretty good, business for anyone that's on the stock market, right? A price to earnings ratio.
Sure, but not for a startup, right?
No, but
this is $300 million raised, not.
Yeah, but this should be, if you've got $24 million in income, this should be a solid company, right? This should have a solid foundation.
No, 91 million euro losses. So that means their costs were Their
Oh,
costs were 91
too many
plus 24.
$500,000 a year programmers,
Yeah,
huh?
115 million dollars a year to operate. And that's the thing, like operating
Oh,
towers and equivalent stuff. That's just like
right,
if it's people heavy, if it's tech heavy, and if you're trying to
right.
invest.
Ouch.
One of the things with a lot of
Yeah.
the cell phone companies too is like they need to make enough money to be investing in the next generation.
Oh, yeah.
Like my cell phone bill today is paying for development of 6G. None of this 5G
Right,
crap.
right. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. But that's how it's always gone, right? Like
Exactly. Yep.
Yeah.
Wow, but yeah, I'm just like, if you can't make it with $24 million income, then nobody's going to make it. Like almost.
Well, it's not $24 million of profit, remind you. It's $24 million of revenue.
I know, but that's actually a large. But that shows that there's a large user base for that thing, and if that user base wasn't enough to keep it afloat, then wow. Yes, as I said, I don't think you can make this happen. It is that okay. There's a $24 million market for it, say, of people. That means you can't build your own infrastructure. You have to piggyback off something else, right? So
maybe, yeah. I mean, so in an alternate case and all this stuff, right? So all of these things, your cell phone, an LP WAN thing, whatever, they're all radios. All radios still got to talk back to some other radio, right?
Yeah.
There's no getting around that one. There's no talking to, I guess, even if they're talking to a satellite, they're talking to another radio on that satellite. And so I would imagine that in this case, they can maybe try and stand up their own Sigfox, like basically receiving the same packets and trying to operate it themselves. So, if you're making a dog tag that is on the Sigfox network and it's expecting all these Sigfox towers around France or wherever they're deployed to, you in theory could say, well, all of our customers are in Paris proper. We're going to set up our own Sigfox-based towers that are not Sigfox anymore and maybe handle all that infrastructure. But the dog tag company is paying Sigfox to not have to worry about that stuff.
Right.
And so the downside is that there's no business case behind it that supports continuing on. And that's where it sucks.
Oh, boy. Yep.
Yeah. So I feel bad for all the people that chose Sigfox. I hope they can transition out okay, or they can buy the IP, because that's imagine just cell phones not working tomorrow. That would suck.
Well, we've talked about this before, how, like this has been going on for a decade, right? All these Internet of Things gadgets, everyone has their own little system for, if you've got a data logger or something, then it uploads to the Ethernets and uploads to the cloudy thing. Then they've got their own cloud servers. And then when that cloud server stops working, your whole system just shuts down, right? And stops working.
Totally.
It's dead.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Gonski.
That's why I made the prediction donkeys years ago that the Amazon one would be the only one that actually survives. If you want a product that works in 10 years' time, the Amazon one is probably the only one that's still going to be around. That's the infrastructure that'll still be around, unless they do a Google and drop it, like, they drop the old, products that aren't making
Google also has a cloud offering, if you didn't know. So
did they? Oh,
Yeah.
Fine.
There's many large scale players of different sizes, but yeah. I mean, it is true infrastructure stuff, right?
I've actually used them myself. I've used, temperature loggers in the lab here, and they just don't work anymore because, the system isn't around. So
the system is down. The system is down.
What's that from? I'm not.
strong bad, man. That's like such an old reference that I feel bad making it.
It's from like what? What is it? Explain.
Strong bad emails.
No.
How to explain? It was called Homestar Runner. It was a web animation made with Adobe Flash, which has been dead for like 10 years. So I think this stuff came out in like, I don't know, 2001, like when I started college. And
right, okay, right.
Me and my friends were. Anyways,
okay.
If you know that
this
reference,
is the early interwebs.
You're cool.
Okay,
I love you.
Okay. the early interwebs. All right.
I'll send you a link. I think there's a YouTube version of it. So
okay. Oh, man. All right. I'm sure.
You did probably listen to the show, but when Philip was on the show from Phil's Lab, he mentioned something, and he was like talking about like, oh, I learned all this stuff on YouTube. And then he mentioned like, what was it like when you were in college? I was like, well, YouTube wasn't invented when I was in college. He was like, oh yeah.
I'm going to be on Phil's Lab Monday.
Oh, great. Yeah.
I'm going to be on
great.
his lab.
Phil's great. Great guest. Yes.
Cool. Oh boy.
I'm not going to stop feeling old anytime soon, am I, Dave?
No, you're not.
It's going to get worse. Yeah, I know, right?
New daddy. Yep. And only accelerates from here. Yeah.
Yeah. Cool.
Congratulations. Yep.
Cool.
All right. Do we have any last minute Reddit things?
Another thing that makes me upset. ST Micro expects 16 to 20% revenue growth in 2022. Yeah, I wonder how they're getting that one.
What are they doing, a stock buyback or something?
No, I think it's just like people have to pay more to get their chips.
People have to pay more. Okay, right. Okay, they charge
we just
more.
like tripled our price because we could. I don't know. Apparently, it's hard to get our chips. Who knew? Oh my god!
Yeah.
Every time it comes up, I just cringe a little bit, and people are like, "Oh yeah, STM32." Oh boy. Okay. Well.
Yep.
It's
all right.
Bubblegum tap shoes, Dave. Bubblegum tap shoes.
Okay. Yes. Yep.
What else is on there? Malware, crypto wallet. We had Joe on the show last week. That was cool.
Yep. Although there was some dispute over whether or not it was actual reverse engineering,
yes.
whether or not.
Yes, me and my stupid tweeting.
Yeah. Yep. Don't tweet.
What's your take on this, Dave? Can you reverse engineer an open source product?
I actually replied to you on the Twitters. I can't remember exactly what I said, but it was I
was on vacation.
Right. I'm sure it was something along the lines of yes, well, no, I actually proposed a new term, forward engineering.
Oh,
forward engineering instead of reverse
influencers.
Yeah. That fell completely flat.
Always trying to make a new term. You already trademarked it, didn't you?
Yeah. I bought the domain name.
Yeah, right.
And that fell flat. But yeah, there's somebody else made the comment, I think it was just last night I saw, that yes, you can still reverse engineer an open source product because it's not just, there's more to a product than just the source code and the PCB file, right? There's like more to the engineering behind it. And if you have to do something that's clever or subtle or something like that wasn't in the original design, then that's, that can be deemed reverse engineering, I guess. But I am with you. I'm with whoever raised that it's not the correct term, probably. I think there should be
there's probably something better. Yes. Yeah.
Yep.
It's, yeah.
Well, hacking. A lot of people said hacking. But I don't know. Yeah. I mean, yeah. No,
I think I'm just.
But you're not hacking.
It's not like I don't like the term.
It's open source. It's designed to be hacked. So boasting that you hacked an open source product is not a boast, right? Yeah. It's like no.
Right.
I
hope the case.
It's like it's designed to be. No, but I think I said in my tweet something along the lines of that Joe did something that the original intender was like the original product was not designed to do. The actual product was designed to hide that pin code, right? It was designed to hide that pin code, and he reverse engineered it in quote marks to extract that thing. And he didn't do it just by changing the source code, right? He did it by actually, hardware glitching the chip or whatever, a fault injection attack on the hardware, on the supply rail or something, right? So I still think it has a decent claim to be called reverse engineering, but I think there's a better term. I don't know. Yeah. Leave it in the comments. What do you think?
Yeah, people can argue in our comment section. Please do. We miss the argumentative comments.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. If you're ever sad and lonely
in the podcast world, it's just it's lonely.
Leave an angry comment here. We don't even need a real email.
Oh boy.
I am 100% Linux now, Dave. That is the last thing I'll talk about because that's pretty much the last thing I have to talk about.
Well, that was the last thing you posted to be me about privately too. Was I'm all Linux now and I'm super proud and puffing my chest.
I'm not super proud. I'm just saying it's just a thing,
Right. I have absolutely there's no driver that takes me to Linux. Get it? Get it?
I get it. That's good.
Here all week. That's pretty good. Yeah. There's nothing driving me towards anything remotely driving me towards wanting to use.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of what Linux. It would take to get you to Linux. I think probably not much. I mean, there's some things that are legitimately easier once you're in that mode,
and there's things that are harder too. For every person I've had told me, switch to Linux, everything's easier. I've had another person tell me,
I'm not trying to. No. I'm not trying to switch your.
I'm not trying to switch. No, that's a nightmare, right? That you'll just spend all your time dicking around with stuff, right? And I don't want to dick around with stuff.
I have done a significant amount of that already with my computer. So like, no doubt there is, you've said many times on the show before, you just want it to work out of the box.
Yep.
I'm not sure Windows plays 100% to that tune, but that's okay.
Oh,
I think
it's close enough.
I think a little bit closer, especially on some of the hardware drivers and the stuff that matters. No doubt that is, I think Windows is better than that. But yeah, I think on some of the development stuff, I think what it really was, is if you were doing some more command line based development stuff, you would probably see the light, because command line in Windows, WSL is a newer thing, but like doing command line code compilation I am not a fan in Windows or in WSL. I think Windows subsystem
but
for
I
Linux,
don't. So
right, exactly. So I think you're right.
I do. The only command line stuff I do in Windows is my Handbrake script, which I've got, and also I do the occasional joining of clips manually using the DOS prompt.
I will tell you another one that actually that hits me is, I cannot stand every time I see a tutorial and they're like, now open TerraTerm. And I'm like, this is a program from like the 1995. It has not changed at all. It is the most unintuitive thing ever. And that's like the best we have. And they're like, well, you can also use the serial output from PuTTY. And I'm like, that's like 2 years later. This is not, and it's,
I feel you. Yep. I'm totally in this. Yes. Yeah. Every time, like serial program. Well, why isn't there just one gorgeously simple serial terminal program?
There were some people. I met some people in Chicago who were trying to do that, but they didn't. They never found a business model around it, because it's like, who's going to pay for a serial terminal?
No one's going to pay for it. Yeah, exactly.
One of my favorites in Windows was to open up the Arduino IDE and just open the terminal button. That was actually very nicely done. I thought that was great.
I have done that before. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's super simple. So like that's not bad. I'm not saying that's a great answer, but if that's one of the better answers, then you're in kind of a rough spot. I really like that part of having that on Windows or on Linux and Mac, actually.
Yep. But if you do it, you'll be a hero.
If you do it, come on, folks. How hard could it be? Just go write some code and stuff. Yeah.
Start a Kickstarter-y Indiegogo thing. The world's best serial terminal program, and you'll probably
there's just got to be something better for Windows, right? It's probably out there, and I just don't know about it. But I don't.
Same here. Just Yep.
And I thought WSL was going to be it, because I had that, and like it's super easy to open. So Screen is what I use on the terminal in Linux.
Yep.
To open a serial terminal, very, very simple. You can also do that in WSL, but like there's some kind of glue happening between this like virtual machine holding Linux on your Windows box, which is very cool that it can do that. But then like actually talking to the hardware, there's a USB port somewhere. The software has to talk all the way down to the USB port and over those two D+ D- and like out to the thingy. And I could never get that to work. So, and I think it didn't work until recently. So,
right.
Windows.
Until then, I'll still use TerraTerm. Yeah.
TerraTerm. Yep. Yeah.
There are others.
Or Arduino.
There are. I can't remember. On my other machine, I've got another one installed because TerraTerm didn't do what I wanted once, or it was giving me problems or something. So I downloaded another one. But there's a few out there. But best. Hang on. Best Windows
Googling live
serial
now,
terminal program. The 15 best free terminal emulators for Windows. Hyperterminal, of course. Does Windows even still come with Hyperterminal?
I don't know. If it does, it probably still has that same like terrible. I have like the Windows 3.1 graphic in my brain that is just like seared on my brain,
This is interesting. This list of the top 15 best terminal emulators for Windows does not include TerraTerm. It's got
correct.
It's got Commander, which is a CMD, Zoc, ConEmu, Minty, MOBA Xterm, Babun, PuTTY, of course, Kitty, Xshell, Console Z, Zscope, Hyper, Fire, what? Terminus? Anyway.
These are all Windows-based, or these are...
these are Windows... the 15 best terminal emulators for Windows. It's like, okay. So, anyway, there's another article which mentions the alternatives to Hyperterminal is TerraTerm, PuTTY, Kitty, Smarty. I haven't heard of Smarty. There you go. So there's already dozens and dozens out there.
I get it, because they want to put TTY in the name. I get that why they're doing it, but my God, just
Yeah, but I totally agree. There is nothing that everyone goes, oh yeah, this is the tool that you use.
This is the answer. Right.
This is the answer for the modern age, right?
Get on it, open source people.
I'm sure there are open. Well, I'm sure half of these are probably open source, right?
Yeah, it's true. Yeah.
So
well, then they should decide on one and make that the thing. Anyways, every time I see a TerraTerm or a Hyperterm or whatever all these terrible programs are, I can't believe that that's still the best there is out there. But
yeah, I know
that's how it is. And I'm not saying that's a reason to switch to Linux either. In case that's unclear, I don't think that's the reason.
Exactly.
But that is one thing where I'm like, oh yeah, I feel better.
Yep, totally. Yeah, I just don't get it why something really cool doesn't exist. But no, maybe there is. Leave it in the comments if you know. If everyone's got their favorite tool. Oh, why do you need more than TerraTerm? TerraTerm does everything. It does it perfectly.
VS Code actually has a terminal now too. So that's maybe how people are using it.
Yeah.
I do like me some VS Code.
Actually, I do Windows 10 Hyper Terminal. No, it's not there.
You got to really dig for it. You got to open a DOS prompt and then.
Yeah, because it used to come with like Windows Hyperterminal Windows 95 or something. Hyperterminal Private Edition.
Oh my God. Yeah, no, it's fine.
Hillgrave. Okay, and platform Windows. Okay, no, it's owned by a company. I thought Hyperterminal was a Windows thing. Meh. Anyway,
maybe it's Hyperterm.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
There you go. Anyway, that's all we have for this week.
That's we're sorry that this has been a very complainy episode, but classic amp hour.
We're engineers. Come on,
we're here for
we just complain about stuff. That's all we ever do.
We'll be back here next week,
complaining,
hopefully every week. Thanks for listening.
That's something new. Catch you next time.